Hola a todos and welcome to online class. Hoy vamos a practicar comparativos y superlativos. Today we're going to practice comparatives and superlatives. First, let's start by looking at comparatives and superlatives in Inglés. Comparatives are used to make comparisons between two people or things. In English, we use a variety of comparative formulas. We use adjectives with er on the end, for example, taller and smarter. We also use more or less something as many as much as. All of these are comparative formulas in English that we use to compare two people or things. Superlatives are used to compare three or more people and things. In English, we use adjectives with est on the end, such as tallest or smartest. We also say most or least something. Just as we have formulas in English to express comparatives and superlatives, we also have formulas in Spanish. Let's look at the comparative formulas we use in Spanish to compare two people or things. We can divide these formulas into two groups: comparativos de desigualdad, that are used to compare two people or things that are different from one another, and comparativos de igualdad, that are used to compare two people or things that are similar to one another. Notice that these formulas do not form a complete sentence. That's why we use the dots before and after each one. We still need to make sure that we have a subject and a conjugated verb in each sentence. Here's an example of the first formula in the desigualdad group. Ana es más alta que Juan. You can see that I added a subject and conjugated verb, Ana es, and then I followed the formula más adjective que. The adjective alta is in the feminine form because it must agree with the subject of the sentence, Ana. Now let's look at an example from the second group. How about formula number 2? Ana tiene tantos amigos como Juan. Again, I added the subject and conjugated verb, Ana tiene, and then followed the formula, tantos amigos como. I chose tantos to agree with the noun amigos. Obviously, in order for you to use these comparative formulas in Spanish, you will need to memorize them along with their English equivalent. I recommend that you pause the video here and make some flashcards. On one side, you can put the Spanish comparative formula, and on the other side, you can put the English equivalent. Go ahead and do that now. Then, when you are ready, hit play, and we will go over the formulas for superlatives in Spanish. And here's the Spanish formula for superlatives. Notice that this formula does not form a complete sentence. That's why we see the dots at the beginning. You will need to add your subject and conjugated verb there. Then you simply follow the formula, el, la, los, las, and then the noun, followed by más or menos, the adjective, and finally de, plus the group of people or things. For example, if you wanted to say that Ana is the tallest girl in class, you would say Ana es la chica más alta de la clase. I started with my subject and conjugated verb, Ana es, and then I simply followed the formula. La chica, la to agree with chica, the noun, más alta, feminine to agree with Ana, de la clase, the group we are comparing. It is possible to omit the noun and the de phrase at the end, so you could say Ana es la más alta, assuming that you know we are talking about a girl in the class. Of course, there are a few irregular comparative and superlative forms in Spanish. We have to watch out when we use the adjectives bueno, malo, pequeño, grande, joven, and viejo. For the comparative, when you want to say better, worse, older, or younger, we don't say más bueno, más malo, más viejo, or más joven. We say mejor, peor, mayor, and menor. In the superlative, these same adjectives also have irregular forms, but of course they have the article in front, el or la. The best, the worst, the eldest, the youngest. Now it's your turn to give it a try. Inténtalo. ¿Cómo se dice? How would you say each of the sentences listed here? Go ahead and pause the video. Grab a piece of paper and write down how you would say each sentence in Spanish. When you have finished writing, go ahead and hit play and you'll see the answers. And here are the answers. Respuestas. Mi hermano es más alto que yo. Juan estudia más que Ana. Mariana es tan simpática como Miguel. Tenemos tantos libros como ellos. Ella trabaja tanto como nosotros. Marisol es la chica más inteligente de la clase. There is one more thing that we need to look at that relates to comparatives and superlatives. It is called the absolute superlative. However, please note that it has nothing to do with the actual superlative that we just studied. It is completely a separate concept that I like to refer to as extreme adjectives. It is when we add ísimo to the end of an adjective to make it more extreme. In other words, we might say buenísimo to mean muy, 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 muy bueno, or very, 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 very good. The last letter of the adjective determines how we will form the absolute superlative. If the adjective ends in a consonant, we simply add the ísimo to the end, such as facilísimo. If the adjective ends in a vowel, we drop the vowel and add the ísimo, such as buenísimo. If the adjective ends with an N or R, we add sísimo, such as trabajadorcísimo. Of course, depending on what noun we are describing, we may need to change the ending to ísima, ísimos, ísimas to follow adjective agreement. Also be careful because a few adjectives will have a special spelling change when we add ísimo. Adjectives that have a C, G, or Z will change from C to QU, G to GU, and Z to C. Finally, it is important to note that adjectives that normally have an accent will drop that original accent when we add the ísimo, which has an accent. That's because it isn't possible for a word to have more than one written accent. That's everything. Any questions? Preguntas? If so, please let me know. Hasta pronto.